Austin FC 2021 MLS season preview. I am Mike Guillaume, your host, Sons of a Pitch Soccer Podcast. Austin FC, the expansion team. There is no last season to recap for them. Cannot wait to see the Verde come out and play on April 17th, opening weekend. Austin FC, the time has finally arrived. It has been a long time in the making. And wow, the season ticket sales through the roof, the waiting list through the roof, the new stadium looks amazing. Cannot wait to see what Austin FC brings to the league and continues to help MLS grow, because I'll tell you, MLS has seen a huge shift over the past 10 or so years with all of this expansion, and Austin FC is proving that they are going to be a huge piece of that puzzle with a fan base that is absolutely outstanding, as well as a player base that looks pretty solid, and we'll talk more about that on this episode. So first things first, make sure you guys subscribe down below, turn on that notification bell as well so you don't miss any of our awesome American soccer content. And we're going to talk a little bit about the players in and out. Obviously, mostly in. There's only one on the out list because it's an expansion team. And note for everybody watching, this is an expansion team preview. There's nothing to go on, so it's going to be tough. Did that last year with Nashville and Inter Miami, and wow, it was tough to put together a team preview. But I'm going to do my best here. Designated player review, MLS Cup odds, breakout youngsters, coach review, a projected starting 11, the most important player for the team, talk about the first game coming up on April 17th, as well as the most important thing. So stay tuned all the way to the end for my predictions on how I think Austin will get it done this season, what my predictions will be for them. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it here. The list of players in and players out. Players in, all right, let me catch my breath. It's going to be a long one. Rodney Redes, the first signing ever for this club, transfer from Club Guarani. Cecilio Dominguez, transfer from Independiente. Nick Lima, John Gallagher, Julio Cascante, Ben Sweat, Ulysses Segura, Danny Housens, Brady Scott, Jared Stroud, Alex Ring, Hector Jimenez, Johan Romana, Andrew Tarbell, Brad Stuver, Diego Fagundes, Matt Beasler, Daniel Pereira, Kakuta Mane, Aaron Schoenfeld, Freddie Kleeman, Thomas Pochettino, Zan Kolmanek, and Sebastian Berhalter. Now the players out, only one guy, Kamal Miller, traded to CF Montreal after the expansion draft. So he was only with Austin for, I don't know, maybe like a day or something like that before he got moved on, if not less. So those are the players in. Really a strong team put together here by the management group in Austin. Like their young signings like Rodney Reyes or Redis, as well as Cecilio Dominguez as your designated player. We'll talk about designated players next. Some big-time trades like Alex Ring from New York City. Alex Ring is a hell of a player. He's going to bring a lot to this squad from that defensive standpoint. And he can do a pretty good job offensively as well. So you look at the goalkeepers, Andrew Tarbell, good MLS vet. Diego Fagundes, Matt Beasler, a lot of good MLS veteran pieces that have been around the league for a while, and I think that's so important for success in MLS, and we'll talk about that. That'll be a theme for how this club was built for this season. So let's talk a little bit about the designated players. Designated player review, 2 spots. As of right now, they may end up filling the third. Cecilio Dominguez, 26-year-old striker, formerly of Club America and Independiente. Striker that is in the prime of his career. 26 years old, coming to MLS from Independiente in Argentina is huge. An absolutely huge pickup. I remember watching this guy play with Club America, and he is definitely the real deal. Being a Toronto FC fan, I remember watching him play against TFC in the Champions League, and the guy's good. So you're getting a hell of a piece there. Striker in the prime of his career, as I said, 73 goals in 288 appearances throughout his career, no matter where he's playing, which is a very good conversion rate for a striker. He is a Paraguayan international and Independiente's largest transfer fee ever. Now that says something. Now Independiente, yes, they are more of a selling team than a buying team in Argentina. but they still do spend some money bringing some players in. And to have the biggest transfer fee ever from Independiente signing to a designated player contract for Austin FC, that's huge. All right, second designated player, Tomas Pochettino, 25-year-old midfielder from Club Atlético Talleres in Argentina. See a theme here? South American teams, bringing in these players from the South American teams. You love it. That is where this league is going, and it is definitely a good move. $5.3 million value on transfer market. So strong player. Don't really know a ton about this guy personally. Never watched him play, anything like that. So don't know a ton about him. But from what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, does look like a very solid midfielder. So what I like the most about these two DPs, 25 and 26 years old. We're not talking about retirement league type guys, 33, 34, 35 years old. You're bringing in guys in the prime of their career that are going to still improve and get better as the time goes. So I really like that a lot. Now, let's talk about MLS Cup odds. The MLS Cup odds makers in Vegas don't really feel very confident about Austin FC. And why would they? Being an expansion team, it's very, very hard to do. Plus 6,600 is the odds, tied for 21st with Vancouver, San Jose, and Real Salt Lake. I think I would put them a little bit higher than that. I think I'd put them in like the 13, 14, 15 range in MLS. I think this team could be a playoff team. And again, we'll talk more about that in predictions. But 6,600, kind of low in my opinion for the for MLS Cup odds, but a good bet nonetheless if you're willing to put some money down on something like that. Now, before we head to the Breakout Youngsters section, guys, see that little join button right down below next to subscribe? Hit that join button and check it out. We've got lots of perks to join the best community in American soccer at Sons of a Pitch Soccer Podcast. We've already got a couple members at the designated player level, yet to have our first starter level at the $1.99 a month. So make sure you guys check that out and join. Really would appreciate it. It is huge. You get some perks, some good emojis, and a loyalty badge. Not to mention some members only lives, as well as some other perks for the designated player level. So check that out, and it would be much, much appreciated for you guys to join. Now, Breakout Youngsters. This section of the show is tough. I mean, these, especially with an expansion team, I had to go out to Reddit, and usually I have to go out to Reddit because being a national podcast, it's hard to keep up with a lot of these young kids. Know all the starters, know some of the bench players, some of the depth pieces, but trying to understand what kids are going to come up and break out is something that just doesn't flow well. So went over to Reddit, got some information from you guys, helped me out with my decision, so I appreciate all the help on Reddit. Sebastian Berhalter is the first Breakout youngster. He's got ties to Josh Wolf, the head coach, from his time, Wolf's time with Sebastian's dad, Greg Berhalter, as an assistant coach with the Crew. So he knows Sebastian Berhalter well, and why wouldn't you bring a guy in who you know, and he's going to get some more playing time with an expansion team than he would with Columbus. So bring him in on the loan from Columbus. It helps Columbus because it's growing their player, and you're familiar, can help Austin FC as well. So my first breakout youngster is Sebastian Berhalter, 19-year-old midfielder on loan from the Columbus Crew. Second one, Rodney Redis, 21-year-old striker, the first ever signing for Austin FC. Rodney Redis looks like the real deal, part of that Guarani connection. 21 years old, nice and young. He's going to come in. He's going to make some business start right from the get-go. I expect him to be starting and one of the franchise-type players and really turn into a guy who everybody knows in MLS at the end of the season. When you say Rodney Redis, they're going to be, I know that guy. That's what I expect at the end of the year from him. So the two breakout youngsters, just to recap, Sebastian Berhalter and Rodney Redis. Now, coach review. Head coach for Austin, Josh Wolf. An assistant to the U.S. men's national team to Greg Berhalter, and an assistant as well to Berhalter in Columbus. I absolutely love this hire. Why? Because he's an MLS guy. He's a USMNT guy. He played for the USMNT. He understands MLS. He has that MLS experience. That is so huge in MLS. A lot of these teams bringing in these coaches from overseas, from outside of the league, especially with expansion teams, they don't do very well. So I love it. It could be just like Greg Vanney. Josh Wolf hasn't had a ton of coaching experience, but he has had enough being assistants, working with academies, things of that nature, that could be just like Greg Vanney, who got the job at TFC and ended up winning CONCACAF Coach of the Year after taking TFC to the final of the CONCACAF Champions League, winning the treble, all that. I could see Josh Wolf following in those footsteps of Greg Vanney, and who knows, maybe even be better than Greg Vanney, the current coach of the LA Galaxy. So absolutely love the signing there. Josh Wolf, head coach for Austin. Excited to see how he does going forward this season. All right, so my projected starting 11. This is how I think the team is going to line up. Again, it's an expansion team, so who knows what this will look like. But as of right now, time of recording, again, it is March 25th at time of recording. I know it's not released for a few more days, but if things have changed, don't be like, what the hell, this guy didn't know about that signing. Relax. All right, so here is the projected starting 11, 4-3-3. I've got Tarbell, Lima, Romana, Besler, and Sweat. Tarbell, obviously, the goalie. Lima, Romana, Besler, and Sweat as the four backs. Ring, Pereira, Pochettino in the midfield. Redes, Huson, and Dominguez up front. So a very solid starting 11, in my opinion, for an expansion side. That could do some damage here. I mean, we're talking a very good-looking starting 11 that a lot of teams wouldn't want to play. I really like Alexander Ring. He comes over, he's got that veteran presence, doesn't have a ton of MLS experience, like 3 or 4 years with NYCFC, but he's done extremely well with NYCFC, and not only on the defensive side of things, but as well on the offensive side of things. So I really like that piece in the middle. Then you've got, Danny Huson, a good MLS vet as well. Never really hit that full potential in San Jose. Will he be able to hit that potential in Austin? Only time will tell. Nick Lima, really like this young man. He is a very good defender, also coming over from San Jose. Ben Sweat, kind of been your MLS league vet. This guy goes around from expansion team to expansion team and just helps them out. Not the best piece in the world. He's not going to win any Defenseman of the Year awards, but a solid player nonetheless. Coming over from Inter Miami on his last expansion team run out. So good starting 11 there. Again, Tarbell in goal, Lima, Romana, Besler, and Sweat across the back. Ring, Pereira, Pochettino in the mid. Redes, Huson, and Dominguez up front. Now that takes us to the most important player. This is the player where all has to go well for this player, for the team to do well. If he does bad, the team's not going to do so good. For me, that player is none else but Cecilio Dominguez, their designated player. This guy has got to be the real deal. He cannot take a step down from his days in Liga MX as well as in Argentina. He has to come in and do extremely well in MLS for Austin in order for this to be a successful season for Austin. If we want to see a playoff game, he's going to have a strong season. So Dominguez, my most important player. Let's talk a little bit about that first game. First game is on April 17th against LAFC. What an opponent for your first game, your first matchup. Playing one of the better teams in the league with one of the best players in the league, Carlos Vela. LAFC should be a good one. This one will be on Big Fox, national televised game. Very exciting start for Austin FC going up against LAFC. I think they'll be able to hold their own against LAFC. I think LAFC is rebounding from a tough year last year. They have a lot of talent, and I think they'll do extremely well, but I think Austin might be able to play with them, especially in that first game, that inaugural game that the blood's really flowing, and I think it's going to be a good one. All right, moving to the last section, predictions, my predictions. Before I give you my predictions, guys, make sure you smash that like button as well. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any of our awesome American soccer content. And predictions for this team, I'm a little bit bullish on this team. I think they're going to do well. I think of a ceiling and a floor. A ceiling, this is where all goes well. Not a whole lot of injuries. Things bode well for the expansion side. I think they could finish fourth. I think they can get a home playoff game in their first season. They're that good. That lineup, that starting 11, I think is that good that they could definitely host a playoff game come playoff time in Austin. Now, a floor, this is where it takes these guys time to fit together. Doesn't really work out well. Some injuries, things of that nature. I think this team will miss the playoffs and finish 10th in the Western Conference. So I very, very well could see Austin getting into the playoffs this year in the Western Conference, which again, you kind of got your top tier, and then after that, it's kind of just a wide open Western Conference from that point. And I think I could see Austin getting in there. So that's my predictions. 4th as the ceiling, 10th as the floor. Thanks again for joining this Austin FC preview. Good luck to Austin FC this season. And fans, you've been waiting a long time for this. Congratulations. You've got your expansion team. You look like an unbelievable fan base, and one day I'll have to get down to Austin and check out a game. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the season.